In this class, I am going to start with model number 4. In this model number 4, you are having contents like this: introduction, objectives, power theorem, field patterns, arrays of two isotropic point sources, arrays of n isotropic point sources with equal amplitude and space. So these are the things you have to study under this model 4, that is point sources and arrays. Now I would like to start about what is point source in this introduction. You know already what is antenna. Antenna is a device, okay, or it is used as a transducer, or it is used as it will make a transition between guided wave to space wave and space wave to guided wave, and overall it is going to use a device to transmit electromagnetic energy and to receive electromagnetic energy from the space. So with respect to point sources, now antenna was treated aperture. You know what is the aperture concept, you studied in first chapter, that is model number 3. In this module, it is formally considered as a point source. A point source is one which radiates, or it is a source of electromagnetic energy. It radiates the electromagnetic energy, or it emits the electromagnetic energy into the space. So it is considered as a point source, and later this point source concept is extended to the formation of arrays of point sources. This concept of point source can be extended afterwards, formation of arrays, okay, using the point sources. And the pattern of any antenna can be regarded as pattern. You have studied in first chapter or model number 3, patterns, field patterns, all the radiation patterns, in which you have considered major lobe, minor lobe. That is field pattern is nothing but it is a graphical representation of how much power is radiated, in which fashion it is radiated, in which direction it is power maximum. That will studied from that field pattern. So those patterns of any antenna arrays can be regarded as, or can be produced by the arrays of the antenna or point sources. Here we discuss arrays. It is related to the isotropic point sources. Arrays of point sources, it is related to the isotropic point source. Isotropic point sources means it is isotropic, like isotropic antenna, which radiates power equally in all the directions. That means which may represent different kind of antennas depending on the structure, how your point sources or isotropic antennas are connected. Depending on that manner or structure, how point sources are connected, depending on that different kind of antennas you can use. So now, point source. Antenna does not have any specified safe is called as point source. I told between antenna and transmitter, a transmission line is connected to carry the signal from the transmitter to the antenna. But one end of the transmission line is connected to the transmitter, from where your signal is guided to the open end of the transmission line, while signal, and because of signal energy in the transmission line, your current will flow through the up to the end of the open end of the transmission line, and fields associated with the signal will be detached or radiated into the space, okay, right now. So therefore open end of the transmission line, because in your line you are having two parallel lines are, one is used to carry the positive charge, another one is used to carry the negative charge. So one wire is looking like a one point charge, okay, one point source which emits the electromagnetic energy or radio energy. And therefore antenna is called as it is shapeless, antenna is not having any specified shape, therefore it is called as a point source. Now I am going to consider antenna. By observation, it is looking like in the following figure, it is looking like a circle. See here, this is inside circle A and B. This is antenna region. This is this circle will represent, this area represent the near field zone. Similarly, this is at the receiving antenna. Here, this is your receiving antenna. This is antenna region. This distance outside circle is called as near field zone. Outside this near field zone, you are having far field zone is there. So here in this figure, radiated fields of antenna transverse radially from this transmitting antenna. You see here, this is antenna at A, which radiates the electromagnetic energy transverse outside radial in nature. Okay, radially at a sufficient distance D. The distance between transmitter and receiver antenna is sufficient distance. They will move at a distance D, whereas they will convert, they will act as a far field, whereas near field have actual variation is ignored. When the distance from the antenna D, after that D, under the distance D, the field pattern or the field or is called as a near field. After that, your field will be far field. So in near field, you are having actual variation, but it is now ignored. So because it is provided that observation made at sufficient distance, because the distance between two transmitter and receiver antenna is sufficient distance. Any antenna, regardless of the, irrespective of the size or regardless of the size of the antenna and complexity, can be represented as a single point source. This antenna, which are kept at a distance r between these two transmitting and receiving antenna. So antenna, these antennas, regardless or irrespective of the size and complexity, they can be treated as a single point sources. So far field is considered because power flow and the fields are radiated outward. Why your only far fields are considered in point sources, and then near field, why you are not considered? Near field usually you are not considered in point sources, only far field, because your far field components are radial in nature. Okay, radial in nature, and they are moving towards outside at this region properly. So these field measurements can be done either by fixing the, how you are going to calculate the field measurements. These field measurements, that is what near field and far field measurements, can be done either by fixing the antenna or fixing observation point, but both effects are approximately same. These near field and far field measurements can be done by using either fixing the antenna or observation point, fixing the observation point, but both effects will be given approximately the same. In case of center of the antenna is displaced by distance D, as shown in figure 1, the distance between two centers are negligible effect on the field pattern at observation circle, provided that in case of center of the antenna, this is the center of the antenna, distance displaced by a distance D, as shown in figure this. The distance between two centers, this to this, will be negligible effect on the field pattern at observation is made, because R, the distance of the near field region R, is very much greater than distance between D, between two transmitters, and R is very much greater than B, and also R is very much greater than lambda. Why your near field not considered, only R field is considered? Because of R is very much greater than distance between these two transmitters, and R is near field distance is very much greater than bandwidth, and R is very much greater than lambda. So as we discussed complete description of the far field of a point source, three components are there. Okay, if you start to discuss complete description of the far field of a source, it requires three components. One I told, E theta of theta comma pi, field component of theta as a function of theta and pi that can be represented by E theta of theta comma pi, and pi component of field E pi of theta comma pi because it is a function of theta and pi, and phases between these two fields delta of theta comma pi. So these are the main important three field components which requires for the description of a field of a point source. Now I will move on to the another next topic, that is power pattern. This is another important concept. This is power pattern. Let a transmitting antenna in free space by point source radiation located at origin of the coordinates as shown in figure. You see here, this is spherical coordinates. Transmitting antenna in free space can be represented by like this. Right now, see, your space is divided into vertical z-axis, y-axis and x-axis, where you are going to use the spherical coordinates system. You are going to use r, theta and pi are the variables. Okay, now this is the point source in space which radiate the electromagnetic energy on the space. This is the point, this is the point through which you are going to measure the three field components. One is theta field component, another one is pi field component. This is E theta component will be in this direction, and pi component will be E pi component will be in this direction, that is. But from this point, your power density, if you want to measure the power per unit area in space, so this will be power per unit area. This will be radial outward in nature. This SR is there, no? This SR is power per unit area in space at any point. But this point, this point S is, at this point you are going to measure the, in space you are going to measure the field components E theta, E pi and power density or Poynting vector SR, which is radial outside from the this point. So at this point you are going to measure in space these three field components, which makes an angle theta. From this point source center O, your point through which you are going to measure the power and field, either of both the field components, that is having a distance from antenna is R. Okay, so like that the radial energy streams from the source radial lines. The radiated energy looking like from the source, it will be radial in nature, it will be radially outward. That's why SR is represented by straight line from the point source to this antenna to the point where you are going to measure the power and field component. The time rate of energy flow per unit area. What is this SR, which is in radial nature, which is showing the arrow mark outside from this point? That is the power density or Poynting vector, or it is the time rate of energy flow per unit area, that is called as a Poynting vector or power flow density. The magnitude of the Poynting vector is equal to the what? Magnitude of Poynting vector is equal to the SR is the Poynting vector. Magnitude means magnitude of SR. Magnitude power density, magnitude S is equal to, it will be magnitude of SR. Therefore, a source a point source which radiates energy uniformly in all the direction is called as isotropic antenna. Is called as isotropic antenna. Here, a graph of Pointing vector SR or power density SR at a constant distance from the point source. Constant radius. This is the radius from point source to at this point through which you are going to measure the power density. So a graph of power density at a constant radius r. This is the distance from antenna to this point. This is called as radius r of the sphere is a function of angle is. Radius as a function of angle is Poynting vector, power density, pattern, but usually called as power pattern. Power pattern. Power pattern is the graph of SR. SR means what? It is a Poynting vector radial in nature or power density radial in nature. A power pattern is a graph of SR at a constant radius. Constant radius means what? From point source, it is the distance between from the antenna to the point where you are going to measure the power and field components. Okay, it is a function of angle is a Poynting vector or power density pattern, but usually called as power pattern. So although isotropic source is convenient in theory, it is not physically reliable type. Isotropic is convenient in theory, it is not physically reliable type. Even simplest antenna has bidirectional properties. That is, they radiate energy in some directions than other direction. Those are called as non-isotropic antennas. Some simplest antennas having the bidirectional properties. Bidirectional properties means isotropic antenna is one which radiates a power equally in other directions, whereas bidirectional antennas are there which are radiates the power or which are having the bidirectional properties, but they radiate energy in some directions maximum than other directions. Okay, so those are called as anisotropic antennas. So with isotropic antennas, they might be called as anisotropic antennas. Here in anisotropic antennas, SR is expressed in watt per meter square. Poynting vector or usually SR is expressed in watt per meter. That is called as absolute power pattern. If your Poynting vector or power density is measured in terms of radial component in terms of watts per meter square, that measurement is called as absolute, that pattern is called as absolute power pattern. On another hand, if it expressed with its reference value, then the graph is called as relative power pattern. If your power density or Poynting vector is measured by using watts per meter directly, then that is called as absolute power pattern. If a power is measured with respect to its relative power, in which it is relative power will be measured in taking the direction of maximum direction in which power is maximum. So on the other hand, if it is expressed with its reference value, then the graph is called as relative power pattern. Graph is called as relative power pattern. You see here, these are the methods where you are going to use. Usually you are going to use the direct measurement, absolute measurement. This is U at this point, so that is called as absolute power pattern. At this point you are going to measure, whereas same power at this point it is used in isotropic antennas. if you are going to measure the power with respect to relative or reference value will be taken as a direction in which maximum power is radiated. Here I am going to show here one is the maximum power direction. So if you want to calculate the power using the relative power pattern, you have to take this is radiation intensity U at this point divided by its maximum value. Its maximum value U is the radiation intensity at this point. UM is the maximum value of radiation intensity. So if you radiation intensity divided by its maximum value, that will gives you relative power pattern. That will gives you relative power pattern using the other than absolute power pattern. That means power pattern will be measured. One is absolute power pattern in which you are going to take the measured power in watts per meter square. Whereas in relative power pattern with respect to reference direction in which power is maximum, your power is measured, that is relative power pattern. Now in this topic you are having objectives like this: apply the power theorem to solve the problem, analyze the arrays of point source and their pattern, analyze the different conditions and importance of various types of arrays. Now next topic is a power theorem. If the Poynting vector is known, you know what is Poynting vector. In the space at a point which is having the distance from the antenna r at a distance, you are going to measure the power at a per unit area, that is called as the Poynting vector. If it is known for all the points on a sphere of radius r from a point source in lossless medium, if one point source will be there, you see here above figure, if this is a point source, it radiates the power radial in nature. At this point in the space you are going to measure a power and field component. This point is situated at a distance r from this point source. At this point you know the values of Poynting vector at all the points on the surface of sphere. How much total power radiated by the source? How much total power radiated by the source? If you want to know, if you want to calculate, it is integral over the surface of the sphere. It is integral over the surface of the sphere of radial components S reference. Radial components S reference of the average Poynting vector. What is? Power theorem states that Poynting vector, that is power per unit area, is known at all the points on the sphere which is having a radius r from the point source, that is kept in a lossless medium. Then what is the total power radiated by the point source is equal to the integral of surface of the sphere of the radial components S Poynting vector radial in nature to the average Poynting vector. So thus total power radiated P is equal to double surface double integral of S into ds, where S is Poynting vector, ds is small elemental area. So where P is power radiated, SR is radial component of average Poynting vector, that is W watts per meter square. ds is infinitesimal elemental area of sphere. Infinite elemental area of sphere. So therefore this ds is equal to r square sin theta d pi. R square sin theta d pi meter square. So for an isotropic source, SR is independent of theta and pi. For point source, isotropic source, SR pointing vector is independent of theta and pi. So therefore P will be SR, you can take outside from the double integral. Inside the double integral you have to put the ds. So SR is equal to P divided by 4 pi r square. Okay, because if you SR you can take closed surface integral with respect to ds will be getting, so that you have to r square into sin theta d pi. So your ds is what? Ds if you integrate, so that will gives you total area of the 4 pi r square. So 4 pi r square into SR into 4 pi r square you will be getting. So SR is equal to P divided by 4 pi r square. So therefore this equation gives you magnitude of Poynting vector varies inversely proportional to the square of the distance from the point source radiator. So SR, Poynting vector SR is equal to P divided by 4 pi r square, means from this equation what you have to conclude, magnitude of the Poynting vector varies inversely to the square of the distance from the point source radiator. That means what? If you want to calculate the power which is transmitted from the antenna, transmitting antenna, so in a space at any point if we want to measure, as the distance increases from the antenna to your point through which you are going to measure the power, so and the distance between point and source antenna will be increases, power radiated from the antenna will be decreases. Okay, that is the meaning. So now power theorem is used for wait one second. Now radiation intensity. So it is defined as the power radiated by the antenna per unit solid angle. Radiation intensity in first chapter you have defined. Radiation intensity is defined as the power radiated by an antenna per unit solid angle. So it is denoted by U, and its unit is watts per SR, means square radians or steradians. So this is radiation. This radiation intensity is used to calculate the power using the power theorem applications. In power theorem applications, you are going to find out from the radiation intensity what is the total power radiated. So we'll see how this power theorem is used to calculate by knowing the radiation intensity to calculate the power. The total power radiated by an antenna is given by integral of radiation intensity over solid angle of the sphere. The total power radiated by the antenna per unit solid angle it is denoted by U, and its unit is watts per steradian. SR means square radians, that is called as steradian. Now total power radiated by an antenna is given by integral of radiation intensity over beam solid angle of the sphere. So that can be represented by power P is equal to double integral of closed surface integral of U into dO, where U is radiation intensity and dO is beam solid angle of the sphere. So for isotropic source, radiation intensity remains same at any point or the surface of the sphere. For isotropic point sources, radiation intensity will be same at any point on the surface of the sphere, because isotropic antenna radiates equal amount of power in all the directions. So let U naught be the radiation of isotropic source. Let U naught be the radiation intensity of isotropic point source. Then you put this U naught in above equation. Therefore, P is equal to double closed surface integral of U naught into dO. Okay. Now P is equal to, you substitute U naught, d ohm is equal to what? D ohm is equal to sin theta d pi. P is equal to what? I can take U naught outside from the integral, 0 to pi sin theta d theta, 0 to 2 pi into d pi. So P is equal to, if you integrate sin theta with respect to theta, you will be getting 2 pi after applying the 0 and pi the limit into U naught. So here d pi, cos pi is the cos pi and minus cos 0. 2 pi is the integration of with respect to d pi. Okay. So 2 pi, integration of d pi is pi, upper limit is 2 pi. So it will become 2 pi into U naught. So integration you have to make it sin theta d theta. So apply this, you will be getting 2. So P is equal to U naught into 4 pi. So U naught is equal to, what do you know? What you have to get? Radiation intensity U naught is equal to P divided by 4 pi. Therefore, the relation between Poynting vector and radiation intensity is as follows. So we know that power theorem SR is equal to P divided by 4 pi R square. Okay. You multiply this SR into, you take this R square into here, you will be getting left side SR into R square. That is equal to only right side remaining P divided by 4 pi. So SR into R square is equal to P divided by 4 pi from this equation. That can be represented by U naught. So U naught is equal to what? SR into R square. Okay. This is how you are having the power theorem and radiation intensity relation. Now, how you are going to use power patterns? What are the different types of power theorem? How you are going to use the power theorem to calculate different power pattern power? First one is unidirectional cosine pattern. Unidirectional cosine pattern, the radiation intensity of unidirectional cosine pattern is given as U is equal to UM cos theta. For example, find out the radiation intensity or directivity for power pattern for unidirectional cosine pattern if asked in 5 to 6 different power patterns will be there, out of which any two will be asking in question paper. He may be given in your question paper, calculate the power pattern unidirectional cosine pattern. So at that point, using power theorem, he may be asking, or just he may be given U is equal to UM cos theta. This function he may be given. This function he may be given, or both. For unidirectional cosine pattern, radiation intensity U is equal to UM cos theta. You have to keep in mind. You have to remember. For unidirectional cosine pattern, U is equal to UM cos theta. If anything, this is not also given, this is not also given, only this statement is given, you have to remember U is equal to UM cos theta. Or he may be given U is equal to UM cos theta under this limit, otherwise it is 0 for this limit. And also you have to keep in mind the shape of the power pattern, it is looking like this. You have to keep in mind. Okay. Next is bidirectional cosine pattern. Bidirectional cosine pattern, you see U radiation intensity of unidirectional cosine pattern is given as U is equal to UM cos theta. Whereas it has bidirectional cosine pattern is having the hemispheres in the both side. It is looking like this. It is looking like 8. Okay. So here for U is equal to UM cos theta, for unidirectional power pattern is, you see here, theta will be 0 to pi by 2, whereas theta is 0 to pi, and pi is, it is not theta, pi is 0 to pi, here also 0 to pi. So this is your, this type of equations you have to remember. And also bidirectional field power pattern is like this, it is looking like a 8. You have to keep in mind. Next is unidirectional sign pattern. Unidirectional sign pattern is, this is power pattern. It will be parallel to the x-axis. Okay, one side will be there. Unidirectional. Bidirectional, it will be looking, your 8 is sleeping horizontally with the xy axis. Okay, y axis. So unidirectional sign pattern, the radiation intensity u is equal to um sin theta, where it is theta is equal to 0 to pi by 2. Otherwise 0 to pi, it will be 0. Similarly, bidirectional sign pattern, um is equal to, your pattern is like this. It is so these are the different types of field patterns. You have to calculate directivity. U by u naught is equal to directivity or power or radiation intensity. Everything you can calculate by using all these things. Field pattern. Now I will move on to, I will stop it here. Okay, I will continue from in the next class. Field pattern.